Good morning, everybody. How are we? Can everybody hear me? Can you guys hear me all right? Yep, smashing, smashing. Gents, thank you for joining. Marina, good morning. Thank you for using the chat function to let me know I'm not on mute. Here we go again. Gina, you are a regular attender to our webinars. Every week I see you pop up. It's amazing to have you with us again, even though you must hate the sound of my voice by now, or it's just growing on you week on week. Either way, I'm really pleased to see you again. Ellie, Jade, good morning, everybody. I like to give it sort of a minute or two to let people get in, get themselves settled before we kick things off. I'm really looking forward to today's session, guys. I really, really am. It's quite topical. There's a lot of market noise at the moment. So Timeline are going to walk us through how to really sort of build that client confidence state. So I'm excited to see how we go. Jerry, good morning. Smashing. Let's kick things off because I know you've got a lot of stuff that you guys want to get through today as well. So as always, we plan for the webinar to run for the full hour. Please be as interactive as you'd like to be. They have allowed a little bit of time at the end for some Q&A as well, but don't let that stop you from asking questions throughout the presentation. If there's any particular slide that you're on and you'd like to know a little bit more about it, please just feel free to drop a message. Yes, we can make No, actually, Bogdan, I'm going to make Gonzalo sweat a little bit like he did to me, not turning up until 10 o'clock. There you go. Okay, so you're co-host now, so that now enables you to share your screen. I could have made you sweat, but I'm not that nasty. So please make the most of your time with us today. You've got the chat function, which you're all using, which is amazing. That keeps things open to all to see. If you want to be a little bit more discreet or whatever that may be, there's a Q&A function as well that you're all able to use. We've got 2 polls for today's session, so I do encourage some participation on that so we can ask the audience. Importantly, feedback. Feedback is so important to us. So when you exit the webinar today, there'll be a little feedback form that pops up. It will literally take you 2 minutes just to let you know, let us know your thoughts on feedback. It's how we improve. It's how we make our content deliver and be better for the audience. So please do give us some feedback. And like I said, time towards the end to answer any questions that you may have. So we'll just kick things on if the clicker works. If not, I'm going to have to go old school and use my mouse. There we go. Clicker is working. I want to just touch on the membership experience under the Financial Planning Club. Everything we do is based on structure, guidance, clarity, and accountability to make anything and everything in your business possible and achievable. Some see us as a non-exec direct, some use us as an agony aunt, but essentially we're a consultancy business giving you all of the tools and resources and guidance that you need to run your financial planning business. Everything remains the same, usually starting with a 3-year business plan, a 12-month roadmap. We break that down into smaller 90-day sprints. Everything is based around accountability. What are we delivering? How are we delivering it? And how are we getting you towards your goal? That's the main sort of priority for us at the club. You could be looking at how to grow your business. You could be looking at the operational aspect of your business. You could be looking at tech because that's evolving every week at the moment. People and culture. Either way, we are here to help you and your business thrive in today's market. Outside of the membership, under the club, we like to build a community that works for absolutely everybody. As some of you may well know, our WhatsApp groups are absolutely buzzing at all times. The numbers increase in those WhatsApp groups week on week. We've broken it down into 5 separate categories. So we've got one exclusively for financial planners, financial advisors. We've got ops managers, we've got business owners, we've got para planners. So depending on the job role that you play within your organization, we've got a specific group for you to go in. It's all just about meaningful conversations that help you solve problems on the go. That's the A1 priority for all WhatsApp groups. Webinars are expert-led, highly practical. Got the guys with us today, so it is expert-led. We prove it week in, week out. CPD accredited as well. Face-to-face events, nothing beats real-life experience, working on your business in a room full of business owners or financial advisors. So they are really good, really interactive. We've got our podcast. We recently ran our podcast on tour, which was incredible. We recorded, I think, over 19 podcast episodes in one day live at the Verve event, which was very challenging, but very rewarding at the same time. We can be found on all of your usual platforms to tune into our podcasts. And every quarter we run CEO roundtables, which is really high level discussions on around decision makers and what's really prominent in your business today. What do you need help with? Let's hear from everybody else. We are on tour. We've just returned from the wonderful Leeds. So our club events are exclusive for business owners. And for standalone self-employed advisors, those that find themselves wearing multiple caps at one time. So Birmingham, Friday the 28th of November, if you're in the area and you'd like to come along to one of our free events, please do let us know. And at the end, on the feedback form, there'll be a question that says, do you want to attend our event? If you hit yes, I'll send you some more details. To give you a little bit of an insight into the agenda, it's absolutely packed, but we're kicking the day off with a personal motivators session. It's enabling you to rediscover your why through a really interactive engaging session. So that's really good fun. We then look at strategies to win, retain, and engage clients across multiple generations, which is, again, it's a very fun collaborative exercise where we give out different generations to different groups of people, and we really look at what their struggles are, what the solutions are, where they're hanging out, what social media platform, what content sits best with those guys as well. So that's a really good session. And then we finish off with building a client referral scheme that actually works. So everything we do at our events is collaborative and interactive. So sitting and listening is simply not possible. So it's completely free, and you get 5 hours of CPD as well, along with some networking drinks, which is all good fun. Just touch on briefly, we've got 2 forward-looking sessions coming up, both exploring how technology and smarter strategies can unlock real value for financial planning firms. So first up, we've got AI and compliance. And we all know that AI is making its mark across the advice process. And this session with Saturn really looks at how it's transforming the compliance process within your business. So that's a really good webinar. We're excited for that. I think that's next Friday. And then we dive into PI. But from Bear, it's a really fresh perspective on this. They're going to walk you through how firms can take control of their risk profile and use their data to get better pricing, more relevant cover, and fewer surprises within their business. So really good webinars that we've got lined up throughout October as well. We're nearly there, guys. Hang on in now. We couldn't do what we do without the wonderful support of all of our collaborators. Each and every one of these businesses do play a fantastic role in navigating change and unlocking new opportunities for our club members. They share a commitment to moving the industry forward, which we absolutely love. It's their expertise, their innovation, and their genuine desire to make a difference. So from technology to training to compliance to marketing, AI, recruitment, whatever it may be, we've got a collaborator that can fall in and support you in your business as well. So just a massive thank you and a well-deserved shout out to everybody now collaborating with the club. So moves us on to today. We are joined by the great Bogdan and Gonzalo. Gonzalo made me sweat today as he rocked up at 10 o'clock, which is absolutely fine. I'll get over it in all good time. So as you all know, when you registered, we asked a couple of questions on what's really holding clients back when markets get rocky. No surprises really, gents. Media noise and short-term headlines was one. Secondly, it was advisors battling emotional reactions. Third was timing matters, so getting clear updates, but to all clients at the same time is still a really big challenge. So the takeaway is, as expected, advisors aren't just managing money, they're really shaping mindset, guiding behavior, and helping clients stay resilient in uncertain times. So do you get a similar sort of feedback, similar feeling from the industry yourself, guys? Yeah. Bogdan, can you hear me? You good?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah. So are you hearing that across the industry as well? Are clients feeding that back to you as well?
That's exactly that. So we do see consistent patterns in terms of what worries advisors, what they care about, and The main kind of point is, okay, how do we take those clients across some volatile markets, deliver that great financial advice, but also supported by the tech through the journey of onboarding, through client reviews, through reporting. So all of that is really important, but also, of course, communication, kind of the timely communication to those clients when something happens, what we've seen earlier in the year, sort of with all these US tariffs happening. So the timeliness of kind of making advisors or advisors' clients feel comfortable and safe that everything is going to be okay is just a period in the market. That's kind of the main thing, providing that support to advisors. So I
Yeah.
guess that's that's the point, to share the screen and kind of go through some bits.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The floor is yours. I will stop sharing my screen so you can kick off the content from your side. Looking forward to this one, I am.
Sounds good. Right. So let me know if you can't see the screen. So there will be.
There we go. You're live. That's good.
Perfect. Sounds good. So working. So Gonzalo didn't just make you nervous. He made me nervous, thinking I'm going to have to go through the whole presentation, but he's here. It's all good. So hi everyone. Just a quick introduction. So I'm Bogdan. I'm the business development consultant at Timeline, and again I'm joined by my colleague Gonzalo. So he's the product manager of the ecosystem that we will cover during the session as well. We have a great topic, again, a discussion topic. So the insights into the volatile markets and how we can start seeing them for what they are. That the market's volatility isn't that scary, and what tools you have to navigate through the time to help clients stay calm through the choppy periods. Okay. So feel free to ask any questions during the presentation. We'll gladly answer them. So that's perfect. So the mission of Timeline is to help millions of people plan, invest, and retire with confidence. So we do it by providing the tech to advisors and the investment solutions to your clients. So, and the tech is very important part to this mission. It allows to increase efficiencies by having one ecosystem with tools that talk to each other. It gets rid of the need of kind of entering and re-entering the data in multiple places, reducing the cost, and most importantly, saving the valuable time that can be spent elsewhere, such as spending time with your clients. So I think we're gonna launch the question.
Yeah.
Around
What,
here.
what would be interesting to know from the audience is what do your clients worry about the most? I think it can be possibly a combination of everything. But where would you cast your vote in terms of what your clients are worrying about most? Where do you expect the poll results to come out, gents? What do you see a lot in the industry at the moment?
So the volatility is one of those. I can see market crashes or volatility. So running out of money in retirement, that again is a very important question, which is at the back of clients' minds or everyone's minds, in fact. Political or economy uncertainty. So with the right approach and kind of education, it can be kind of not forgotten. It will still be there. But if you have a stable plan to follow, which is mainly driven by by the sound financial advice, proper financial advice with proper tools, it can be quite easy to overcome. And of course, the future, anyone will think about what is going to happen. So after, let's say, I depart, so the children's financial future, how this wealth can be preserved to moved forward to other generations as well. So that is all very important. So again, that's what expected market crashes or volatility. And this is something what I'm going to cover it in a second. So brilliant. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. I've just shared the results so everybody can see where the votes were aligning. And yeah, market crashes and volatility were up there at 50% of the audience. But I think there's exposure across, all four of these. Especially around the children's financial future as well. It's a really, really big one. And, it stresses the importance for advisors to be engaging with the wider family as well, not just the client. It's having that interaction. It's resonating the messages with the younger children as well. And it's really, building out that full client relationship and engaging with the children and the grandchildren, everybody that's going to inherit any wealth from the baby boomers as such, or whatever, So I think there's a lot of client worries that needs addressing. So it's just how you approach it.
Absolutely. So again, we talked about that. Let me just switch to, let me know if you can see this.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So the timeline charts, and again, one of the points is market noise and media influence. So how clients are easily unsettled by the headlines and short-term volatility, all the news and all the uncertainty around. So it can be scary, it can be daunting. So that potentially sends the chain reaction in advisors' behavior as well. So creating panic, fear, and sort of reactive behaviors. That is all completely understandable. We're all humans, but unfortunately, that can lead to being quite myopic, not seeing the bigger picture. So the long-term plan that is so important. So this is actually one of the timeline charts that is available to you. Not a, it is good. Yeah.
Bogdan, sorry to interrupt you. I think you need to zoom out.
That was my purpose. So what we're looking at, that was done on purpose. This I deliberately zoomed in into the chart to show you just the part of that UK market. So this event happened 5 years ago, and it caused a lot of panic and volatility in the markets. So if you're thinking about COVID, so between gray lines, that's 1 year period. Okay, so this, in terms of, so that happened 5 years ago when everything got shut down due to COVID. Looking at people stockpiling the toilet paper and dry foods like there is no tomorrow, almost got me convinced that I needed even more of everything. So the panic was real, and this panic behavior is similar to behavior we experience in the markets, but instead clients want to fiddle with their portfolios by moving things around. So what we need to do is actually stop for a second and remember to zoom out and to see similar examples of the history when everyone thought that it will never end. So if I zoom out, so this blip was the COVID, which happened 5 years ago. And as we can see, the markets have recovered. We've seen the sharp decline, that's the of 25%, after which it followed a stable bull market. So kind of it raises the points of the power of storytelling, which is so crucial during any time of your investment journey, but even more so during volatile times when financial coaching and clear communication with the clients is key for them to stay focused and optimistic. So whilst on this chart as well, another easy to understand kind of story is illustrated at the bottom of this page. So let's say, sorry. There we go. So the story of bull and bear markets, you can see it here. Over the last 100 years, we've seen a number of bull and bear periods in the markets. But what clearly stands out is that when there is a bull market, it lasts for longer and has higher positive returns than the bear market's negative returns. And coming back to this COVID example, we've seen a sharp decline here, and that small sort of slither of red is the COVID. So after all these worries were just kind of nothing. It's a distant past. So when you look at the bigger picture, it isn't all about bad. It's not all that bad and can be easily explained to your clients, providing that safe harbor during the choppy waters. So we do have these in printed versions as well. So if you want to have one, feel free to reach out. The contact details can be at the end. So, and this chart is very powerful because it can tackle other clients' worries, such, for example, should I be invested in gold or property? The markets will do badly if one or the other political party is in charge, for example, of the country, and so on. But as you can see, the market doesn't really care about who is at the steering wheel. So let me go back to this. So I've mentioned that timeline is already increasing efficiencies and reducing costs to advisors by providing the tech stack that talks to each other and is amazing for onboarding, planning, forecasting, and reporting, which by the looks of it, from the PowerPoints which Lee shared, it is very essential to most of the firms. 86% said that it is important to them. And what can help streamline your day-to-day task is a proper tech stack, starting from the modular fact find, when you can build your own templates depending on advisors and clients' needs. Then you can run your clients' cash flow plans, properly stress testing using historical data going back to 1915. Then you can send digital LOAs that reduce your time doing this mundane task by 80%. So the analysis tool, the custody platform, and the client's portal is all essential for streamlining your business. So finally, all of this information should be gathered through an easy-to-use, comprehensive reporting tool in a matter of minutes, if not faster. So something what Gonzalo will talk about shortly. So here at Timeline, this has been built around the advisor's needs to match the goals you're aiming for. So providing clarity and simplicity when advisors can spend more time focusing on your expertise, delivering proper financial advice. Okay, so I think at this stage, Gonzalo, do you want to? I'll stop sharing my screen.
I'll stop you there as well. So I just want to run a quick poll on this part as well.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask about, most definitely, are people using tools to stress test their clients' financial plans? Because I think that will fall quite nicely into your piece, Gonzalo, won't it, really? And the frequency of doing it as well. You know, are people doing it? How often are they doing it? And if they're not doing it, what are the benefits and should they be doing it? I think that's quite important to cover off as well. So we've got a good amount of voting going on. It's 50-50. It's looking 50-50. And whether they're doing it on a regular basis or if it's just occasionally. You know, I'd throw a question to the audience. If it is occasionally, at what point do you then stress test your clients' plans? Is it when something happens in the market that you go, I need to stress test it? Or is it something that you're doing every quarter, biannually? You know, at what point of the journey that client is on are you saying, right, let's just reevaluate, stress test, make sure, and whatever else, you know? So it'd be so Marina said an annual review. They're running a stress test on their plans. And I suppose that could fall into place, you know, if people have got multiple reviews throughout the year as well, you know. Yeah, annual review or relevant advice point. Yeah. So Nicholas said at annual reviews as well. So is that a common theme, would you say? Is it typically done at annual review, or would you recommend doing it more often for clients, depending on what they're doing?
Well, it really depends on client circumstances, right? I imagine that when Trump announced the tariff stuff that was going on in the US, a lot of worried clients would pick up the phone, call their advisors, and maybe advisors need to rerun the cash flow again to see if the plan is still on track or not. So that would be one of the occasions. What I can see from the questions here is that pretty much everyone uses a cash flow modeling.
Yeah.
to stress test client's financial plan. So let's dive into it, actually.
Definitely. So just sharing it for the audience, 57% said yes, 35% said occasionally, and 4% said not right now, but interested in doing so.
And again, back to kind of Gonzalo's points, it is quite situational. So if it is all fine in the markets, nothing is happening, then it kind of stays valid. That plan which you had in place or reviewed, whatever, 6 months ago, then it is still valid. But once those events start happening, it is quite important to go back and see, okay, depending on the situation, is the client taking money out? There is a sequencing risk potentially, or any of those things which can affect the plan. It is important for the client and advisor to get together and discuss, and then reinstate that message that you're going to be fine at the end. It's all fine. It's all temporary. We're going to be back on track in no time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So can you all see my screen?
Yep.
Yep, we can indeed, mate. Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. So it's actually quite funny because the second quiz that you do, right? And do you currently use tools to stress test your client's financial plan? And actually, the first quiz that you did, what do your clients worry about most, is probably linked, right? So when there is a market crash or high volatility, clients will reach out to their advisors looking for peace of mind, right? Clients do not buy like spreadsheets, macros, or crazy numbers. What they actually buy is someone they can rely on, they can bring knowledge, educate, peace of mind, focus on the things that we can control, right? Which is, the risk of our portfolio, pension contributions, and so on, not so much on what Trump is going to say the next month or if the next COVID happens. That's why it's not a surprise, the numbers that you shared at the beginning, which is, firms need more support on onboarding clients, planning, forecasting, communicating, reporting. That's our mission as well. And that's why in Timeline, even though we are really evidence-based, tech and numbers focused, we try to keep everything on the surface very client-friendly, using terminology that everyone can understand, storytelling, so advisors can explain a story using Timeline, right? And market crashes and volatility are one of the main pain points that we try to stress test, right? And when you're using a stress testing software, a cash flow modeling tool, you basically have two different types. The first one is softwares that rely on deterministic modeling. That means straight line projections. That means that you basically input the inflation rate and the stock market return, and it will give you a line that looks like this. However, with the straight line projections, we are ignoring the most dangerous risk in retirement, which is sequencing risk, as well as ignoring market crashes and volatility, right? That's why in Timeline, we believe in the use of stochastic modeling, and that means using historical data to stress test a portfolio. And what I'm showing you here is exactly the same financial plan here. As you can see, the plan here doesn't run out of money. The client starts with 100K. They end up with a little bit more, 180. Using exactly the same assumptions, but stochastic modeling, what we can see is that the client is okay in 68% of the times, right? So it's quite dangerous to use straight line projections. Even if you can create within those straight line projection market crashes or add some volatility in it, relying on a single scenario, we know life is not like this, right? So let me actually go into Timeline. Can you all see
Yep.
my screen? Cool.
Yep.
So this is Timeline. This is the software that Bogdan was referring to, where we are building this suite of tools that straight line the onboarding process, planning process, communication, reporting, and forecasting. we have this fact find, risk profile, digital letters of authority, financial plans, analyze investments, you can communicate with your client, and so on. Anyways, let's go into the cash flow modeling tool. Okay. And what I'm using here is I have this client created. Let me just give you a quick summary of his circumstances. This client has £820,000 and divided into cash, GIA, ISA, and uncrystallized funds, all invested into a balanced portfolio. John is working until retirement. Okay, so he is currently employed, he's approaching retirement, and after retirement, we have the state pension, right? John is retiring when he is 65. John is spending around £60,000. And then John will, as you know, evidence shows that during retirement, clients tend to spend less. That's why when John reaches certain age, he spends less. Now, given these client circumstances, if we were to use a straight line projection, what we would see is that this client would be in 100% of the occasions all right. And what we can see here is that he starts with this balance and it goes up, and up as a straight line projection. And by the way, this is like a more advanced and tip way to use cash flow modeling, stochastic cash flow modeling. You can always use a stochastic modeling as a deterministic tool. Okay, what you basically need to do is remove volatility from the underlying assumptions. So that's just more advanced way of using stochastic. Now, let's go into comparing plans, and let's compare what happens if you have a straight line projections versus a stochastic modeling. And what we can see here, again, is that if you use a straight line, you will be okay in 100% of the scenarios, of course, because you only have one scenario that you're stress testing. What happens if we actually go into the same plan, exactly the same circumstances, but using historical data, right? So in the plan on the middle here, we are using historical data that goes back to 1915, where we have stock market returns and inflation rate for every year. And what we can see here is that we haven't changed absolutely anything. The spending is the same, the income sources are the same, cash is the same, accounts is the same, the top level allocation, everything is exactly the same. The only thing that we've changed here is in one we are using, I know it says Monte Carlo, but it's using straight line projections, and the other one is using historical. And look at the difference here, right? If we want to provide peace of mind to the client, what stress testing method would you choose? One that ignores market crashes, volatility, and most of these scenarios, or one that considers hundreds and hundreds of different scenarios using actual historical data that happened in the past? And this is how different the results can be, right? If we go in the worst case scenario in history, what we can see is that in this client, he actually runs out of money, right? If we look at the pessimistic scenario, what we can see is that the client still runs out of money. It's after the pessimistic scenario where the client ends up with some legacy. Finally, if we look at the optimistic scenario, we can see how the end legacy is 1 million. So now the plan for the financial advisor is, okay, I have moved from a straight line projection into a historical analysis. What do I do in order to increase the sustainability of the plan? And of course, there are different methods. You can go for spending less, which is not always desirable. You can go for more income. You can go for higher equity content in the portfolio. You can go for tax planning. So you have all these different strategies that you can follow. And in timeline, how we address this is by duplicating the plan and creating different what-if scenarios of the same plan, trying to optimize it. So I've already done the work here for you. Let me show you what I did in order to increase the sustainability of the plan. The first thing I did is pension contributions. Of course, and John is employed until retirement. So what we are doing is this surplus that John is having during the first years, we are gonna contribute it into the pension. The second thing that we are gonna do is contribute into the ISA. Okay, so we are gonna maximize the ISA allowance, £20,000 per year, until the GIA runs out of money. So this is the first steps that advisors bring value, right? Numerical value, at least. They add tax efficient contributions like pension and ISA. The second thing that we will do is set up a proper withdrawal strategy. We don't know a lot of things, right? Again, focus on the things that we can control. But we know that equities in the long term perform better than bonds. So what we are going to do here is withdraw from accounts that are less tax friendly at the beginning, like cash and GIA, and then leave the accounts that are more tax friendly to the end, like pensions and ISAs. Okay, so as you can see here, first we will withdraw from the cash account, then from the GIA, then from the pension, then from the ISA. Less tax efficient to most tax efficient. And again, since we have to focus on the things that we can control, it doesn't make sense that the equity allocation is the same on the GIA as in the ISA, because on the GIA we may be withdrawing after, if we have a cash bucket of 2 years of spending, we are going to withdraw from the GIA in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. But we are going to withdraw from the ISA maybe in 10, 15 years, right? So one strategy that we can adapt here is let's invest more bonds into the GIA and more equities into the ISA. So we can let the ISA grow tax-free with more equities. And that's what we did here. Now, if you check the portfolio, the GIA, rather than being invested into a balanced portfolio, is invested into a cautious. The pension is still the same, into a balance, but the equities removed from the GIA now flow into the ISA, and the bonds removed from the ISA now flow into the GIA. Summarizing, what we've done is tax efficient contributions, so tax planning. We've done a proper withdrawal strategy, and finally investing according to this withdrawal strategy. And what we do now is let's go into chart and tools, let's go into compare plans. And remember, this is the original plan that the client came to you with no strategies or anything. And in here, what we have is the optimized scenario. And thanks to your advice, we've moved the success rate from 62% to 88%. And that's what means bringing peace of mind to a client financial plan. And as we can see here, the only things that we did is smart contributions, altering the way we are investing, and changing the account withdrawal order. And as you can see here, the top level allocation is the same. It's still a balance portfolio. It's just how we are distributing the equities within that portfolio that changes the end result. And finally, of course, this client may have some goals, right? Some financial goals. Maybe they want to retire early, maybe they want to go on holiday. That's what I did in the financial goals scenario here. What I did, as you can see, is change the retirement year. Imagine that John wants to retire 2 years early. And imagine that John likes to go on holiday for every year until he's 75 years old. And that's what we did here. Of course, if you retire early, so used to working before, and you spend more, your success rate or the chances that you don't run out of money will go down. However, now what I did is, okay, what can we do in order to increase the sustainability of the financial goals plan? Let me move it here. financial goals. So as you can see, you can bring even more value to the client. We jumped from a 60% sustainability to a 92% sustainability, still retiring early and still going on holiday. How did we do that? This was as simple as increasing the equity content of the portfolio. So here is where you can start having all this discussion and creating all these what if scenarios of, okay, if you want to retire early and go on holiday, maybe we need to increase the equity content on your ISA, which we know we are not going to touch in the next 10, 15 years. And doing so, we increase the sustainability of the plan. So again, it's about all these what if scenarios. It's all about this planning, forecasting, and clearly communicating to the client. Finally, I don't want to end before showing you our reporting tool. I've seen advisors paying crazy amount for reporting tools or admin stuff that the only thing they do is reporting. I was talking to an advisor that they were spending like £40,000 a year only on reporting because they had like a full-time employee only doing reporting. And this is the gap that we are trying to close here. We've just recently deployed these changes. In here, you can create a report. And the first thing that you can do on report is create templates, right? So we know that firms tend to use like a Word document template where they like to copy and paste from the different softwares they use, the different data. Now you can create your own template here using pretty much any piece of information that is in our ecosystem. That means the investment philosophy, the staying with risk tolerance. If you are, comparing different portfolios and different accounts, different funds, you can also add them. If you're using our platform, you can also do that. If you're also using our financial plan, IHT planner, risk profiling, fact find information, you basically have everything in here just to accommodate it and make it a suitable template for you, right? You can even drag and drop. And what is even cooler is that you can add your own custom sections. Okay, so imagine that you always have like a custom section that you like to say at the beginning. You can do that this here. I don't know, thanks for choosing Timeline. And what is even cooler, and we just deployed this last week, is that now you can add custom tags in it. So we are trying to copy your mental model that you use in document Word, where you have these blanks that you just copy and paste from the different tools. You just now have it here, right? So for example, you can use the primary client name, and this will pull the client's name. You can use the client retirement age. So we agreed you want to retire at, and it will pull the primary client retirement age from here. And again, we're just increasing and increasing the mortgage value, mortgage rate, the client risk score, the total account balance, the most recent fact find. You can request new tags, by the way. You can do it here. But what we're doing is just adding more and more and more tags. So basically, you can just move your mental model of the Word document you have into here and use these live custom tags. So you don't need to copy and paste that information anymore. So this is about creating templates and moving this Word document template that you have into Timeline. Now imagine that, I don't know, we have this financial plan, right? And you want to send an annual review report document to the client. You can go into the financial plan or any template that you've prepared for that. You can pick the template. Here you can customize absolutely everything. You can pick the different financial plans that we were discussing before. You can decide which one you want to use, the scenario. Here you can pick the different plans you want to convert if you use the compare plan section. Here you have finally like all the things that are included. And now what it will do, which is like really cool, this is like hyper personalization. You can personalize at the firm level, creating your templates with your own sections. But now what you can do as well is personalize at the client level. So imagine that during the annual review, you said something about, you know, the sustainability of the plan. You can add your own custom sections here and say, as discussed in the meeting, the success rate of the plan looks healthy. Okay, so you can customize at an individual basis. Finally, you can decide if you want to download and send it to your client manually, or if you want to send it through our sending form, basically. So what we've been doing while this generates, it can take a couple of minutes as it's pulling all the pieces together from the ecosystem. The more you use the ecosystem, the more sense it makes, right? Because you will have financial planning tools, you will have fact finds, you will have risk profiling, you will have investment analysis. And this is how the financial plan looks, right? You can customize that with your own logo. Here you have the date it was generated, when, and basically all the information that is pulling from the ecosystem, right? So yeah, I hope that was useful. We've covered planning, forecasting, onboarding, communication, market crashes, and so on. So any questions, just feel free to ask.
Yeah, really interesting concept with the tools. I love the whole thing around ecosystems. You're starting to see more and more come to market now, right? You know, avoiding the need to use multiple tools and systems that are not talking to each other, rather just having something in-house that just communicates and feeds information seamlessly from one to another. I'm all for that. Jerry's mentioned he's always very impressed watching the timeline specialist using the tool. I think the key word there is obviously the timeline specialist. You guys play with these tools all day, every day. The problem he has is trying to use them himself. Is there you know a resource that he can tap into? Is there a support network? Is there a communication channel? If it's just a specific part of the platform he's having a problem with, or if it's just the end-to-end whole ecosystem, just run me around it. Do you get similar feedback? Do people find, because sometimes when something does multiple things, it's hard to understand how it all works rather than just, I know how that works, I know how that works, and I know how that works. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. And by the way, Gary, feel free to drop me an email and we can have like a short session or demo where I can show you around. It's always complicated to jump from Voyan, Truth, or Cash Calc into Timeline, basically because the way that we stress test portfolios is different. Jumping from deterministic model to stochastic modeling is like a brain switch. Happy to help you with that. What we can say is that we are getting closer and closer to Voyan and Cash Calc on how they and Truth on their modeling as well. So yeah, feel free to drop me an email. Timeline is fundamentally a bit more difficult than Voyan. It's just how stochastic versus deterministic modeling fight against each other.
Fine.
Again, on this point, we do appreciate any feedback. So we understand that some parts might not work as you expect, but once the feedback is provided, we've got the whole community of advisors who use that, and we do listen to them. We do apply those changes. So that's that. By the way, the contact details. I'm going to share my screen. There we go.
Perfect. And again, at the end of the webinar, when you exit, there'll be a feedback form. There will be a section on there that says, do you want to hear from Timeline? If you want to hear from the guys, let us know on the feedback form, and we can share the contact details for you as well. And these guys will also be able to drop you an email to arrange a time to go through some of the products. But I suppose the report writing tool where you're pulling in those custom tags now, I suppose the more information you're feeding the timeline ecosystem, the more it can extract and pull in and feed into the reports as well, isn't it? So it's, like you said, it alleviates the copy paste, but you just pull in fields in from certain parts, which is the problem, right? When you see people using multiple different tools and systems, it doesn't have that API feed in. Voyant doesn't have an API feed into Timeline, so it can't extract that information seamlessly. It's copy paste. Let's just duplicate everything to get the report that we need to produce for the clients.
Exactly. And it's not only the time it takes, right? It's about the errors that you can make during that copy paste. It's about using different multiple sources, as you were saying. It's error prone. It's just not how it should be in the 21st century, right? That's what we believe.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, guys, that was an absolute pleasure. Really good to see the system in full swing as always. We love everything Timeline is doing and what they're for. If anybody is still, I know we've still got quite a few people in attendance, so if anybody has any further questions, please feel free to voice them now, and hopefully one of the guys will be able to answer it for you. Or again, put the guys on the spot. If there's any particular part of the Timeline product that you'd want to see quickly in the next sort of 8 minutes, if you like, put the guys to the test and ask them to demonstrate something. Why not? I'll get Gonzalo back for leaving me hanging until 10 o'clock. So if you want to do me a favor and get Gonzalo back, test his tech stack knowledge on Timeline. That would be amazing. If not, please do complete the feedback form. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the content today, so we can continue to improve our service and content that we deliver to you guys and girls on a weekly basis. If not, come and join me next week as we're with Saturn, if I remember rightly. We've got a really good content plan lined out for the full duration of October as well. So any questions, let us know. If not, you've just nicked yourself 5 minutes before 11 o'clock for you to grab yourself a tea before you no doubt get into the next client meeting. What I'll do as well, for the purpose, I will just stop the recording. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.